You have the fork and the knife on the wrong side.
Go fuck yourself.
Can I try it now?
You can try it. What is up, fam? Welcome back to another episode of Rockin' with Ricky, the show about connecting with your partner physically through food. Tonight we're gonna be making some New York strip steaks with chimichurri sauce, roasted potatoes in an air fryer, and asparagus. Let's get started. First thing we're gonna wanna do is get the chimichurri sauce ready. You wanna do that in advance so that all the herbs and spices have time to soak into the sauce, make it more flavorful. So we're gonna start with a half a cup of olive oil. We're gonna mix in 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. We're gonna drop about a teaspoon of dried oregano in, a teaspoon of coarse salt, next we're gonna mince 4 cloves of garlic. Let's add some pepper. Oop, the little nipple came off. Twist that nipple. Next, we're gonna wanna put in 1 chili. Normally, I would use a red chili for this, but they didn't have red chilies. So I'm gonna experiment tonight and I'm gonna use a serrano. Chop these up real fine. You know, we had house guests this weekend. I had a pretty busy day, but I also have kind of a difficulty focusing in a house that's cluttered. Just cluttered space, cluttered mind. I started just cleaning the entire house. First, I only meant to do the downstairs and then get back to work. But then once I had finished the downstairs, I decided to move on to the upstairs. And it really got me thinking. A lot of guys tell me, once you've been married for such a long time, you know, your bedroom dies. I haven't found that to be the case, but I also think many people on either side of the relationship are perhaps just not carrying enough weight in the relationship. I was guilty of this for many years, of just not doing as much as her around the house, whether that be laundry or cleaning, cooking, whatever. I think that if you don't participate in the household chores, that can be very frustrating for them, right? This is parsley we're gonna prep now. We're gonna chop up some parsley fine. I mean, I cleaned for hours and hours and hours that day. If somebody were to have to do that all the time, all by themselves, it's not that your bedroom is dead because you've been married a long time, it's that your bedroom is dead and your spouse hates you because you're not pulling your weight around the house. If you've ever just cleaned your house top to bottom for 4 hours at a time, you know that that's a lot of work. And it would be especially difficult after doing that week in and week out with no help to want to take their pants off. And that's kind of what this show is about, right? Doing acts of service, something to make your partner feel appreciated. I mean, we share the load in this house. We take turns doing things like this. I'm sure you've ever been on the receiving end of things. You know how nice it is to come home from a long day of work and have a meal cooked for you, have the house cleaned for you. So we're gonna do about a half a cup of this chopped parsley. Look at that, I fucking nailed that. How's that possible? I cut exactly half a cup of parsley. All this to say that sharing household duties with your partner could lead to unexpected surprises other than having food or a clean place to live or laundry. You might actually get to do some experimental freaky stuff. Okay. This is our chimichurri sauce. Let's go ahead and mix that up. Oh man, that smells amazing. You know that line from Cardi B's WAP, macaroni in a pot? Do you know what she's referring to in that sentence? this sound right here. Let me put this next to the microphone. You know what that sounds like? Some wet ass punani. Okay, we're gonna set this off to the side, continue on with our prep. Next, we're gonna prep the potatoes for the air fryer. So grab a glass bowl. Doesn't have to be a glass bowl, grab any bowl. Okay, now we're just gonna cube up some potatoes. Do a little more around the house, especially if it's unexpected. Use that as an opportunity for foreplay. You'll notice I'm doing this on top of the parsley that I already sliced because I want the parsley in the potatoes. And I've had people ask me, isn't cooking a meal with the expectation of sex making it transactional? We are taking an opportunity to show our appreciation for our spouse. The fact that they may or may not spread their legs later is just collateral damage. Organic extra virgin olive oil, garlic salt. We're just gonna toss these potatoes. Set this off to the side. Let's start prepping our asparagus. Here's a little trick about how to know what part of the asparagus to cook and what part of the asparagus to throw away. You bend it and it breaks naturally at the point that you should eat it at. See how simple that is? You see how helpful it is to watch this show and learn all these new things. This is really a show for people who aren't experienced in the kitchen, who want to take a more active role in their household and seduce their partner through acts of service. Truth be told, I never had kitchen behavior modeled for me, so I've always found it really intimidating, right? It wasn't until I realized how much fun it could be to cook in the kitchen that I really started spending more time in here. I don't know if you remember those Carl's Jr. commercials where they would show some idiot guy who doesn't know how to cook and he's just walking through the grocery store aimlessly, looking super confused. I think the slogan was, "Without us, some guys would starve." That was me, you know, eating hamburgers every day and fast food. When you start to get into your 40s, you can't do that anymore. You shouldn't do that anyway, but the penalty becomes a lot more severe as you get older. Taking care of myself, eating right, having an active sex life, these are all things that are heart healthy and good for you. There's actual research done on this, okay? Studies indicate that sexual activity, particularly in women, is linked to potential longevity. Studies have shown that women who report having sex at least once a week have significantly longer telomeres compared to those who do not. Telomeres are the protective caps on the ends of the chromosomes, and they shorten as we age, potentially contributing to cellular aging. This suggests that sexual activity may have a protective effect on cellular aging. So see, it's not just about me wanting to get my rocks off, it's about me wanting to extend the lifespan of my partner. For men, studies suggest that heart attack patients who had sex at least once a week had a lower chance of dying from heart disease. Sexual activity can contribute to overall well-being and improved quality of life, which is linked to better cardiovascular health. I'm out here saving lives, people. I will say, due to the asparagus content of this meal, some of you will be susceptible to smelly pee, and that's something to keep in consideration. Let me school you guys to some shit right quick. If you don't have a squirt gun with olive oil in it, you're blowing it, because this thing makes it so much easier to oil things like asparagus on a baking tray. Figure your life out. Now we're gonna take a lemon, cut it in half. We're gonna just lightly squeeze some lemon onto the asparagus. Don't be too heavy-handed with that. Then we're going to take our trusty garlic salt. I'm going to lightly dust some salt on the asparagus. Set that off to the side. Now that we have the lemon out, we're going to bring our potatoes back. And we are going to do a little bit of lemon zest on the potatoes. If you haven't done a load of laundry in a while, it could be the reason you haven't seen your wife's butthole in a while. Now let's get these steaks prepped. New York strips in the house. First thing we're gonna wanna do is pat them dry. Now we're gonna liberally apply salt to both sides of each steak. Brooke in San Diego wrote in and asked, what is your success rate of getting love-in now that you've released several of these videos? Let's see, this is the 6th episode. I'm not going to be doing it tonight because it's period time. I didn't do it in episode 4 because of the flu. So 4 out of 6 episodes was a successful mission. But 6 out of 6 times, she was happier. We're gonna get these potatoes in the air fryer. And if you don't use an air fryer at home, you are fucking up your whole life. Load the potatoes in the basket, throw them in for 10 minutes at 400. Steaks we're gonna cook at high heat. Get that pan nice and hot. God, these steaks are gonna be so good, it's almost a shame to waste them on period week. Okay, we're gonna use a little bit of avocado oil. The reason we use avocado oil when we're cooking at a high temperature is because it has a much higher smoke point than olive oil. So just give the bottom of the pan a light coating of avocado oil. We're gonna sear the fat on the end first. Now go ahead and lay them flat. We're gonna keep an eye on these steaks, but typically for a medium rare, we're looking at around 4 minutes aside. When the potatoes are done, we're gonna shake them up, put them back in for another 10 minutes. At that time, we'll start the asparagus, which is gonna cook at 425 for about 15 minutes. We're gonna take 2 cloves of garlic. We're just gonna throw those in the pan. I might not be getting lucky tonight, but that doesn't mean you can't. All right, let's pop these asparagus in the oven. Shake the potatoes up, put them back in for another 10 minutes. It's time to give these bad boys a flip. Throw a generous amount of butter in. Do a sprig of rosemary on top. Look at those. Just give it a nice base with that butter. All right, this one's done. You want to rest these steaks for several more minutes once you're done cooking them to lock in all those juices. Plus, they continue to cook a little bit once you take it off the heat. We're going to slice this up into strips. And that is period week steak right there.
You have the fork and the knife on the wrong side.
Go fuck
Can I
yourself.
try it now?
You can
You
try.
cooked it pretty good.
You like the chimichurri?
I sure do. Potatoes look crispy. Chimichurri is delicious. Pretty good, babe.
I'm sorry you're menstruating.
Me too.
And that's another episode of Rockin' with Ricky. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Not period week.